Rambam, he apparently in the let me see. Let me just. It's called the Maimonidean controversy, where Rambam had book burnings. There were people that were burning his books.
Good.
In
They burned
in
Guide for the
mid-century,
Perplexed.
right. Because of the philosopher issues in philosophy.
Okay.
What was the reason for that, and how does that affect how we conceive the Rambam today?
So the story is that when the Rambam originally came out with his work, Yad HaChazakah, it was extraordinary. It was something that was never been done before. But then when he came out with Moreh Nevuchim, or in English, Guide for the Perplexed, this indeed perplexed many people. This confused many people because he also used some of the secular knowledge, like Aristotle and the likes, as part of his teachings, if you will. And those that weren't learned in that topic, or perhaps did not read the whole book through, misinterpreted it to the extent where they thought that the Rambam became, chas v'shalom, a kofel. And they jumped the gun and started burning his books in the middle of the street. A short while later, the Goyim, the Christians, decided that, oh, you see, they're burning the rabbi's books, let's also burn other books too. And they took 12 carts, 12 carriages, horse carriages, full of Gemarot. And they burned them in the middle of the street. Where? At that church that was burned down just a year ago or so. What is it called? Nostradam, Notre Dame, whatever it is. Place of Avodah Zarah over there. That's why it's ridiculous when Jewish people actually donated for the rebuilding of the place. Or some of these fools that call themselves rabbis said, oh wow, what a holy place, I can't believe it was burned down. This is a place that burned down a lot of Gemarot. Now, the Chachamim at that time, specifically Rabbeinu Yonah Migerondi, who was one of the people that burned the books of the Rambam, saw this as siyata dishmaya, saw this as a message from Hashem that they made a mistake burning the Rambam's books, and decided to look into the Rambam's book and realize that everyone is in error about the Rambam and his work, and not only is he not mistaken, not only is he not a kofar, but he's actually the Gdol Ador. He's the biggest rabbi in the world. He's the biggest rabbi that's lived since the Gemara. Now, how do you fix such a huge desecration of his work and Chilul Hashem and everything that followed? Rabbeinu Yonah was an enormous Talmid Chacham that lived at the time of the Ramban. And he decided to go from community to community, Bet Knesset to Bet Knesset, admitting his mistake of going against the Rambam, crying over it, and he wrote one of the most important Musar works that exist today, called Sharei Tshuva. Sharei Tshuva was written by Rabbeinu Yonah as his own Tshuva. For what? For going against the Gdol Ador Rambam. Now, many Chachamim, till this day, including my Rav, still insist on most people, and by most I mean 99.9, just so you understand what I mean by most. Most doesn't mean 51%. 99% of people still to this day should not read the Guide for the Perplexed, the Moreh Nevuchim. Now, even though you're going to come to my house and you're going to see that I have those books, just because I have them doesn't mean I study them intensively or anything like that. And the reason why is because unless you are an equipped Talmid Chacham, a serious Talmid Chacham, that's Beki, meaning an expert in Gemara, expert in halacha, expert in theology, expert in musar, expert Talmid Chacham with many, many years experience, you should stay away from that book because it will confuse you. When I first asked my Rav, can we learn this together? He says, no, this is the one thing you, if you want, you learn by yourself, which was my obviously sign, don't learn it. You're not allowed your own. Why? You're not in this level. It was just telling me in a nicer way. Why? It's higher than your class. It's higher than where you are at this point. You're not at that point to understand what he's going to say. You could potentially misunderstand it and become a kofir. Now what's the proof of this? Proof of this is that you see practically every single kofir that I've mentioned over the years, publicly, number one thing he likes to talk about, Guide for the Perplexed. The biggest kofrim in the world that call themselves rabbis, I'm not talking about Christians, to call themselves rabbis, love to delve into the Guide of the Perplexed. Dweck from England, him and his friends, Mirvis and Lord Sachs and Goldberg, all these people, they love this book. They love it. Why? It leaves things to the imagination. It's philosophical. It's, okay, what about the Gemara? What about the basics? Why are you teaching stuff that is not even, it's for Talmidei Chachamim, serious Talmidei Chachamim, not even just the average one. But people love this book because it leaves a lot of things to your imagination, to your own analysis, and who says you're right, Bichlal? So that's why, generally speaking, there are certain books that a person should know that it's above his pay grade. This is above most people's pay grade today. And until a person becomes an expert in a lot of the things that he's obligated to become, he shouldn't deal with it. Same thing with the Zohar. Zohar Kadosh is a holy book. It's a holy series of books. If it's Midrashim in the Zohar, no problem. Everyone's allowed to read it. But some of the higher end Kabbalah stuff in the Zohar, you're not allowed to touch it until you're an expert in all of the things that you have to do, like the Gemara, Shulchan Aruch, Chumash, Tanakh, and so on. Until you're an expert in all the things you're obligated to know, shouldn't touch the Zohar. Why? It's above your pay grade, it can confuse you, and it's in essence something that is for people that really are at the level to read it. What is this like? Because people get offended when we say this. No, why are you trying to keep this from... No, you could do it. Go break your head if you want. It's available. You could buy it in Barnes and Nobles if you want. You could probably get it for free from the library. It's not that. It's that it's not going to help you in your life. It's just going to confuse you. You want to go waste your time becoming more confused? Go, be my guest. But the reality is, you see, people that do it, they fall. They fall very, very far and they become heretical. Because they're not at the level to understand the holiness of the Rambam and what he actually meant by many of the things that he said in there. For example, I'll give you guys an example. A very famous example. Many people that read that book, that are not at that level, think that the Rambam was a kufir in Shedim. Meaning, at some point in there, he says, there's no Shedim. There's no Shedim in Israel. There's no Shedim. Or where he was. I think it was Israel or in Egypt. There's no Shedim. So people think, see, Rambam doesn't believe in Shedim. So your entire shiur that talks about Shedim and demons and people are going to hurt you because you're wasting seed and all that stuff, that's all made up because the Rambam himself says he doesn't believe in it. This shows you should have never read the book. In fact, it shows you should actually take the book and give it to a real Talmid Chacham and never look at it again. Why? Because you don't know how to read the Rambam. What did he really say? The Rambam said he doesn't believe in Shedim, in that area. So what does that actually mean? Number one, Rambam is not a kofir in the Gemara. The Gemara says that there are Shedim in many, many places. Ashmedai, the king of the Shedim, was friends with Shlomo HaMelech. So what, Rambam is saying that Shlomo HaMelech had an imaginary friend? There's stories of him meeting with Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai. So Rabbi Shimon Bar Yochai was hallucinating? He was on ecstasy? The Gemara Masechet Brachot says there are several different types of Shedim. There are ones that look like humans. They have a body. There are ones that are complete ruchot. Spirits, they're something that your naked eye can't see usually. And there are ones that are half-half. There are ones that eat. There are ones that procreate. And so on and so forth. They're also mezikim. They're different types. He says this specific one doesn't exist. Not all of them. Just this one particular one. And it doesn't exist in this area. Not all over the world. When you read the Rambam, you have to read every single word carefully, and you have to know what it says over there, and what it says over there, and what it says over there, and what it says over there. North, south, east, west, up and down, everywhere. If you don't know that the Gemara says meforash that there are shedim, you're going to become a kofar right away. Why? Because you think the Rambam doesn't believe in shedim. He didn't say he didn't believe in shedim. He says there's no shedim in this area, which is a specific type of spirit that's of not the natural world, but the rest, the one, the mezikim and so on, that's all over the Torah. It's in the Mishnah, and it's in the Gemara. It's all over the Torah. It's just that you don't know how to read. Hence the reason why you shouldn't learn this. So that's why, Rabotai Karim, it's very, very important for people to know there are certain things that are above your pay grade. You cannot go into a algebra class with a calculus book. You go to an algebra class, you're learning 1 plus 1, 2 plus 2, 8 times 8, 16 times 16. You don't even know how to do this in your head. You're using a calculator still. But you take the, no, teacher, listen. This calculus book, I want to use that one. You don't even know how to do 1 plus 1 yet. You don't know 8 times 8 yet. But you want to do calculus, you want to do sine and cosine and a tangent of a number? You still haven't figured out how to use your watch on your thing. You want to do this? That's the thing, Rabotai. You have to know there's classes. There's classes. You can't just take any book and think that you can do something with it.